Alright, in this video I'm going to show you basics for quizzes. There's a lot of options, but I'm not going to go through all of them, just kind of how to set one up for you. So, click on whichever class you want to add a quiz to. I'm going to go here. This is my course where I just make stuff that I don't really need. So, you can add a quiz in assignments, you can add a quiz in quizzes, wherever that went, up here. Let me zoom in. So I can add it in quizzes, I can add it in assignments, or I always recommend to add stuff in modules. Because if you're using modules to organize stuff, which definitely makes it easier, if you add it or make something in quizzes and assignments, you're going to have to go back to modules and add it again. If I make it within modules, then I don't have to go back. Like, it already puts it in the other spot. So on the module that you want to put it in, you hit the little plus sign, and I'm going to change up here where it says add. It's always going to say assignment first because it's alphabetical or whatever. So I'm going to pick quiz, select new quiz. I'm going to go, well, if this will work. Okay, quiz name, practice quiz, or whatever you want to call yours. If you have assignment groups set up like daily quiz tests, that'll be here. You'll have to do that beforehand. And then click add item. It'll always show up at the bottom, so if you need to change where it is, you can change that. Otherwise, you can click it to open and click edit. Thank you for that, dog, for the bell. Anyways, so on my quiz, I have my name at the top. Stop laughing at me. Yeah, everybody can hear you. So at the top, I have the name. So if you messed up or mistyped or misspelled, you can change it. You have your directions, instructions, whatever you want to put there. There's a lot of things you can do. I won't go too much into detail about that. Down here, you have practice. I can't zoom in. Practice, graded, survey, and ungraded survey. This is probably the default that most people are going to use just because you want it to be a grade unless you're doing a practice one like at the beginning to get them used to it. Again, assignment group you should have already done. Shuffle answers. So every time a student takes the quiz, the answers will be in different order. That's a good feature. Time limit, if you want to stress them out a ton, because it does show the timer when they're taking this. Multiple attempts. If you want them to take multiple attempts for whatever reason, you can have it do the highest, the latest, or the average of all of them. I like to mess with them and use average. That way they don't just blow through the first one, get the answers, and then go back through and get 100. They stop doing that really quickly. And of course, if you do multiple attempts, you want to set the number. Otherwise, they're going to be unlimited, and they can just do this thing over and over and over. But totally up to you. You can let them see their answers right after if you want, or you take it off, and then when they click submit, it just says thank you for playing, try again. Not really, but they won't see anything. So if you want them to see their responses afterwards, you can. You can also let them only see it once, so if when they leave the page, they can't go back and see them later. You can let them see the correct answers only once. You can let them see the correct answers all the time, or you can let them see the correct answers at a certain date and then make the answers go away at a certain date. Totally up to you. You can also do one question at a time for those kids that get distracted by 2 questions at a time, because you typically don't see more than that on a page anyway, unless you scroll a bunch, but I don't know. So you can do one question at a time, and I do this on tests just so that I can lock questions. Now when you lock questions, they cannot skip around. They have to go in order. And once they click submit, that is it. They can't change their answer. Now, say you don't lock the questions, but you do one question at a time, they will be allowed to skip around and go in whatever order they want. Again, totally up to you, your preference. You can make them have a code, so they have to have the code. You have to give them a code so they can get in. I don't really ever use that because I just do the available date down here. You can filter IP addresses. That was pointless. unless you're making them take it from a school computer, like at school, and you can. Anyways, that's real technical. Alright, you can assign it to everyone. You can type in certain names. If you have sections that you've made, if you know what that is, great. If not, anyways, if you have sections for different groups of students based on accommodations or whatever, you have modifications. You can assign this to certain people. You can change the due date, for groups. You can do available until. So the available date is the first time they can access it, and the until date is when it locks, and then they can't ever do it again unless you give it to them later. So the nice thing is I always just do everyone, make it due, and then say someone's absent and you have it locked, like down here, and they come back and say, hey, I didn't get to take that and it's locked, what can I do? You can click add at the bottom and just type in that kid's name, and only that student will see the quiz, no one else will. And you can give them the same thing, like, okay, I'm gonna let you take it today, make a due date and stuff, so they have the same thing. So those are mostly options. On quizzes, of course, you can insert a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to go over that. And the other thing at the top is questions. Of course, with any quiz, you have to have at least one question, or they're going to get 100. So there are 3 options. There's new question, which makes them go in a specific order on whatever order you put them in. There is question group, which will randomize the order of the questions within the group. And there's find questions if you don't like to write your own because you don't know how. So new question, use that if you want students to have the same questions in the same order every time. And then use question group if you want the question order to be random. That way they're all different and they don't have all the same. Like number 1 will be different for everybody. If you click on that real quick, you have to pick the number of questions, tell it how many points it is. You can make the group and write the questions in here in the quiz, or if you have a question bank already made, which I love, I use these all the time, and I would recommend learning about these. I link it to a question bank, and of course I have a ton of question banks. Well, not in here, but in my other classes I have a lot of question banks that I use. But anyways, so all the same order, all random order. I wouldn't recommend using. I would write your own questions. It just makes for a better quiz. And that's it for quizzes.